Hey guys, the hero's journey. So if you truly grok this, especially if you haven't really heard anything about this before, this could blow your mind, and it will change your reality when you truly get this. This is totally mind-blowing stuff. It like shows you that reality is not what you think it is at all. So the hero's journey. So Bashar says that the story is an archetype. So just quickly, archetypes are, the official definition is the original pattern or model of which all things of the same type are representations or copies. And in psychology, an inherited idea or mode of thought in the psychology of Carl Gustav Jung that is derived from the experience of the race and is present in the unconscious of the individual. So commonly known archetypes are kind of the magician, the king, the warrior. Like Tony Robbins uses these in his trainings, like tune into the energy of the king. Like the king has no fear because he's seen everything. The king is wise, he's not aired by anything. The warrior is kind of like, yeah, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to battle through my fears. I'm going to get everything done. Nothing's going to stop me. And the magician is kind of like, I trust that this is going to manifest because I create my own reality. So they're kind of they're inherent to all humans, and they're aspects of human consciousness that are common to all humans, and all humans embody them to some degree or lesser degree, and have the ability to embody them all fully. Though of course some people like embody the warrior energy more, some people embody the magician energy more, some people embody the healer energy more, some people embody the king energy more. And so these are commonly known archetypes in psychology. And however, Bashar says that story, and they're used in story, like people that write stories, write screenplays, write movies, they use these archetypes in the structure of the story, and we're going to get to this more in a minute. So it all makes sense. But Bashar says that story is actually an archetype. And this is because like story is inherent to everyone's life, and this is going to become clear what I'm talking about as I begin to explain. So there's this model, and it was originally created, I believe, by a guy called Joseph Campbell, who I'm sure based it on previous like spiritual teachers, philosophers and things like this. And it was then taken on by there's lots of birdies here. They're enjoying this. They don't normally come so close. Probably because there's some sort of food here. I notice the more I make these videos and get into a high energy, the more animals seem to get drawn to me and just like hang out around me, like cows. Not cows, horses, dogs, birds. Like they sense the high frequency energy and just like come around you more and more. The more you tune in, the more you get aligned, the more you live your hero's journey. So yeah, so George Lucas made the hero's journey famous because he used Joseph Campbell's model of the hero's journey in making the movie Star Wars. And since then, the hero's journey has been used by many movie makers, story writers, book writers, as a kind of framework for writing the story. Because people are starting to realize that this is inherent to everyone's life, and particularly everyone's life who goes on the spiritual journey. And so this is why it's so fascinating, because it will actually describe, if you've been on the spiritual journey, particularly for a while, like 10 years plus, it could actually describe everything that's happened in your life, and you'll be like, whoa, this is insane. If you like really see this. So what is the hero's journey? So it's 12 steps that if you Google the hero's journey and like just get the images up, there's loads of images of it. So I've got one version of it here. And so it's split into two halves, the ordinary world and the special world, and it symbolizes the journey of our normal life. And then when we kind of step through a threshold and go on and like really embody the spiritual journey and kind of start to see that reality isn't what we thought it is. Like magic starts happening, we understand that we manifest our reality, crazy things start happening, miracles start happening, we start meeting beings from other dimensions, and we're really on like this like Star Wars type journey. And it was also used in The Matrix, I believe. There's, if you Google it, Hero's Journey in The Matrix or Hero's Journey in Star Wars, people have made lots of videos about this, and they explain the different the different scenes in Star Wars and the different scenes in The Matrix, and how they refer to the different stages of the hero's journey, which is an archetype which is inherent to everyone's life, and which you will have experienced or be experiencing if you're on the spiritual journey and you've really gone for it and embodied it. But even if you've just begun, you'll be at the beginning of the hero's journey. So the 12 stages are like this. Stage 0, because this is the beginning and the end. This is kind of like the sequence that you start where you've begun. And this is also inherent in the tarot deck, because the Fool is the 0 card, and it's the beginning and the end. Because when you start your journey, spiritual journey, you have no idea what's going. You think, oh, I'm going to be spiritual, life's going to be amazing, it's going to be brilliant, it's going to be really easy. Now I found this spiritual path, everything's going to work out, I'm going to manifest money, I'm going to be blissful, I'm going to be happy. This is the Fool in the tarot deck, the 0 card, the first step. And then you step on the journey and you realize it's not quite so easy, it's a little bit more challenging than you thought. But when you completed your journey, you come back to this kind of foolish place where you're just pure consciousness, and you're like, wow, life is easy. Like, it's all just like kind of happening by itself. Like, my higher self manifests it. I get some challenges, but I always get through them. Wow, life's easy. So it's the 0 card is the 0 is called the status quo in the hero's journey. And so it's the beginning of your spiritual journey. Wait, the beginning, it's status quo, it's your normal life. So as an example for me, this would have been like 2016, living as like kind of working in an office, because I kind of started my gardening job just at the time like the status quo started to break down. So it's kind of before I started my gardening job in like 2017, and I guess right at the beginning of that gardening job I was still in the status quo. Like, I thought I was just going to be a gardener for the rest of my life. I was going to make a nice gardening business, have a cushy life, spend all day outdoors in the sun, everything's going to be easy, everything's sorted, everything's going to be normal, nothing bizarre is going to happen. I actually know I had already started my spiritual journey, so it must have been before that. It must have been kind of more when I was like a couple of years before that, when I was working in an office in Lincolnshire County Council. I think the last job there was for the what was it? The pensions, the pensions bureau, and I was levying companies, because everyone's scamming pensions, and like pensions are really unsafe because the companies are just saying, yeah, we're collecting money for pensions, and then they just pocket all the money and say, oh sorry, we're going into liquidation, and they like scam you and people lose out on their pensions. So the government like didn't want this to happen, obviously, because the government isn't completely corrupt. I think the government in the UK is doing quite well lately. Positive, we love you, Boris. Much unconditional love to Boris. People are clicking off the video. I've had enough of this guy. So anyway, I was working in an admin job, doing the accounts and processing admin for and billing like every business in the country for money, saying we know you're going to scam your pension, so we want some insurance and like connect a big amount of money, and then if anyone scams, there's this fund that the government has to like reimburse the scamming bastards. Whoops. Sorry, mate. Anyway, so that was the status quo. That was my normal, boring, crappy, shitty. There's nothing fun about the status quo, is there? There never was anything fun about the status quo in the normal life, apart from you get to go home and like have a beer and watch TV and smoke a spliff or whatever you do, and get a bit of respite from your crappy job. So the call to adventure was kind of like, I guess it was, I got this video, so it's okay, come on. That's the Brianna. So the call to adventure was, I guess it kind of began when my friend, we were growing weed in the UK. I shouldn't say that, I'm going to get in big trouble. It's just a little bit, tiny bit, just 1 or 2 plants. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. I said that loads of times before anyway. So I don't even smoke anymore. I'm a very good guy these days, as long as you're not in the like suppressed ufology section of the government. Then I'm not a nice guy. So yeah, my friend handed me a video, not even a DVD, this pre-DVD days, or very beginning, and it was like a video on a CD that you watched on your computer, and it was a 9/11 conspiracy. And this was kind of the beginning of the call to adventure, because like it showed me that reality wasn't what I thought it was. That like I do believe like something highly dodgy went on 9/11. We'll not talk about that here. So that sent me on a. It was kind of that. I guess that was the call to adventure, because like I got obsessed with conspiracy theories from then on. And I was like, if they'd lie about this, what else would they lie about? And I was researching everything: energy healing, psychic powers, like other conspiracies, and ufology, which of course would be no surprise to you guys. And that kind of led me on this journey, this adventure. This was the call to adventure. And so I found Dr. Stephen Greer and started doing his CE5 ET contact meditations, and had 3 UFO sightings over my parents' house in the UK in 2018 over a couple of months. Kind of mind-blowing. There was one where there's this golden ball of light flying over my house, but it sounded like an airplane, but it's just a golden ball of light. And I said to it, if you're an extraterrestrial, if you're a UFO, go up and down now. I was kind of arrogant in those days. And as soon as I said that, it went zoop, 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 ping, disappeared, reappeared, and like, oh my God, so this was kind of like an acceleration of the call to adventure. It was like, I was like, oh my gosh, reality is not what I thought it was. And I mean, and so this is the call to adventure, stage 1. And so this could also be called the supernatural aid, because number 2 is the supernatural aid. And I don't know exactly what these mean. I'm just reading the 12 points and I'm giving my interpretation of what it is. But also in number 2, it was, I guess finding Bashar was like the supernatural aid, because through doing these CE5 ET contact meditations, I actually manifested Bashar, I believe, through visualizing grey extraterrestrials, because Bashar is a hybrid grey extraterrestrial. Hey guys, I need to breathe because I'm still recovering from COVID. I'm a loads better, I'm doing good, but I've been through my ordeal. So this is one of the stages, like COVID was the ordeal, that's stage number 6. And so we will get there soon. Coming to the end of the ordeal, into the reward, I'm feeling it's all good, but next part of the story. So supernatural aid was in 2000, around 2008, I came across Bashar's channelings, like an extraterrestrial channeled by Darrell Anchor. So this could kind of be called the supernatural aid. I mean, I could line up different parts of my journey to parts of this. It's not all clear cut, and I don't suppose it will be, or is for everyone in reality. It's not quite like in the movies, but or very similar. So supernatural aid, I mean, Darrell Anchor, like channeling, like psychically, telepathically, an extraterrestrial from another dimension. I mean, that's pretty supernatural, isn't it? And again, in like 2009, I actually had like a contact experience in Major Awakening, where I believe I actually had physical contact with these extraterrestrials, although I don't remember it. So it's another story. It's very bizarre how you explain this, but because many years later I had the same experience and did remember it, as some of you will know. So Bashar was kind of the supernatural aid. I mean, what's more supernatural than communication with an extraterrestrial? So number 2 is the supernatural aid. And then number 3 is crossing the threshold. And I think kind of where I crossed the threshold was kind of quite a few years later. It would have been like only like 4 years ago where I really crossed the threshold, where I really, I mean, it could have been the point where before I had the experience with Bashar, and I like just followed my excitement and went to Amsterdam for 3 days with hardly any money in my pocket, and somehow miraculously survived and came back, and then had the contact experience in the woods in the UK. I think more, it was probably when I went to Glastonbury, like when I went to Glastonbury, like I only had I actually got a credit card and like had less than £1,000, less than I had £1,000. Like my life was falling to pieces. Everything was going crazy. Like I couldn't live with my parents because like my energy, I was getting triggered so easily. Not necessarily their fault. I mean, kind of partially you could say, but I was just getting triggered like crazy. It was not comfortable living with my parents. Like my gardening job wasn't resonating. My friend that I'd been living with kind of kicked me out. He's like, Jonathan, it's too intense, the energies are crazy, I'm going to ask you to leave. He was on the same path, we're triggering each other. My other friend that I'd been living with just before that, like for free to renovate her house, her father died, and so she invited her mother to come live with her. So it's clearly love, and this is how it happens. Like everything falls apart to get you to move on. You get forced into it if you don't take the action yourself, which we rarely do. This is normally how it happens, and this is like often there's the call to adventure and the resistance. So I was getting the call to adventure and I was resisting it. You know, I was trying to live with my friend for free. I was trying to live in this house for free, renovating it, and I, without really taking the bull by the horns and just jumping out into the universe and trusting my reality to support me. So I was kind of resisting the call to adventure, and like this is Luke in Star Wars. Yeah, he meets Obi-Wan Kenobi, yeah, and Obi-Wan Kenobi's like, yeah, come and join the Alliance. It's not called the Alliance in the Force, that's in real life. What's it called? It's called it's the Resistance movement that Luke Skywalker goes to join, and you've got to come and join the Resistance movement. And Luke's like, yeah, I've always wanted to join the what do they call it? What do they call it? It's the dark side and the I don't know, the good team. And like Luke's always like, yeah, I've always wanted to join the good team, like fly a TIE fighter. And he's like, really? But then he's like, I can't do this, Obi-Wan. I've got a family. I'm a farmer. This is ridiculous. And he goes back to his family. Like, I'm going home. This is ridiculous. I don't want to be. I can't be a Jedi. I don't want to be a Jedi. Are you crazy? This is insane. And so he goes home and then finds that all his family's been killed by the dark side. And like, so I didn't have it that rough, luckily. What happened was like my friends all kicked me out, like for good reasons, or like I couldn't really live with my parents. My parents were basically kicking me out, like, Jonathan, this is getting too intense. So like I had nothing to do, and nowhere was really resonating to live. I didn't know where to go. So like most people in the UK, when they're on the spiritual journey and they like got nowhere to go and they don't know what to do, they go to Glastonbury. I met people there that had gone to Glastonbury with nothing. It's kind of like a hippie community, but it used to be. It's Avalon. It's the ancient Isle of Avalon. It's the heart chakra of the world, or Bashar said the throat chakra of the world. It's a major energy centre. It's an amazing place. And so everyone in the UK, like when they're lost and they've got nothing left to do, they go to Glastonbury. So that's what I did. I went to Glastonbury with like less than £1,000 in my bank. I booked into the ashram, the Bhakti ashram. I can't remember its name. Lived there for a week and prayed that somewhere to live would manifest. And it's not easy to find somewhere to live, to manifest there, because everyone wants to live there, because it's like the place to be. Everyone wants a cheap house in Glastonbury, do you know what I mean? And it's not that cheap to live. So certainly a lot more expensive than Peru. And but some miracle happened. I was asking around. A friend had a friend who needed a lady in the ashram. Said she's got a friend who was potentially looking for a housemate. It was about 20 miles away from Glastonbury, but I had a car back then. And it all worked out, like total synchronicity. Like the lady who owned the house, like I got on really well with. We're still friends today on Facebook. She's a super nice lady. She's on this path very similarly. And some of you guys possibly even know her. I don't want to mention her name, but we've got a lot of common friends on Facebook. And yeah, I'd never met her before, and it was all a big sync. My car got stuck in the ditch. I drove into a ditch, like total Star Wars stuff, this, isn't it? Like almost, and like I got stuck in a ditch, like, and I had to call out the AA. So I had and wait for them to come and pull me out the ditch, and in that time, I had to spend an hour chatting with the lady of the house, and that's where we really connected. And she ended up feeling really comfortable knowing that I was on this path too, and we formed quite a strong bond. So it was all meant to be. So that was kind of crossing the threshold, taking the leap of faith into the new world, the special world. And what can be more of the special world than Glastonbury? Glastonbury is a special place. If you haven't been there and you're on the spiritual path, particularly if in the UK, like Bridget Nielsen, some of you maybe know Bridget Nielsen, the other ET kind of person. She recommended I go to Glastonbury. I did a course with her. And so I ended up moving there. So super tuned in is Bridget, as you probably know if you know her. And so I went through the Road of Trials, number 4, the Road of Trials in Glastonbury. And, because I only had channeling to make my income, and I had to just trust that the sessions would come, and they would. And they all came if those of you know Glastonbury, they all seem to come when I was in Excalibur Cafe. Like Excalibur Cafe is on the Michael ley line, which is one of the most powerful ley lines in the place. And like there's this energy in there. It's like, honestly, the energy is incredible in the Excalibur. Became one of my favourite places in Glastonbury. Can't wait to revisit Excalibur when I'm back in the UK. The energy is just like, the energy is incredible in there. Gosh knows, this was like 4 years ago. The energy must be incredible in there now, I tell you. And so it's on the, I think it might even be where the Michael line and the Mary line cross. I don't know. It's renowned to be on the Michael line, which is a manifestation energy. And so like I'd be in there and all of a sudden I get 2-3 calls coming in, like, oh, this is how synchronicity works. When you're in the vibe, you're in the energy, and I'd get like several sessions booked, and I always just managed to pay my bills every month, even though it was quite expensive living for a hippie. I wasn't quite hippie, but I was almost a hippie. And Glastonbury was an incredible time, really mind-blowing, so much cool stuff there, but very challenging on many levels. A lot of emotional challenge, being on my own for the first time in my life, really completely. And so this is the road of trials. So I went through the road of trials in Glastonbury, as many spiritual seekers do, as you all know. Peace out, you guys in Glastonbury, you know who you are. And the approach. So I think like we're really now coming to the time when I've been following my excitement for a while. I'm now in Peru, here, ta-da! So the approach, I wrote this down because I didn't really know what this meant. The initial plan to take on the central conflict begins, but setbacks occur that cause the hero to try a new approach or adopt new ideas. The ordeal, oh, that's the next part. So I guess the approach really took off when I decided to do ayahuasca, like basically just over a year ago. Like I did a super strong dose of ayahuasca, and my life got really crazy. And like the past year has kind of been like the initial plan to take on the central conflict begins, do the ayahuasca. I was like, right, I'm just going to face everything now, do this mega dose of ayahuasca, face all my demons, get it all out of the system, and everything will be fine. And so it wasn't quite. But setbacks occur that cause the hero to try a new approach or adopt new ideas. And yeah, I started having lots of panic attacks after doing the ayahuasca for many months, and still kind of get a bit edgy, like now my reality is entirely collapsed into the void in a sense. Because we're always living in the void. It's just that you realize it once you've got to a certain phase of the physical journey, the spiritual journey. And so yeah, I ended up leaving the place I was living because I couldn't smoke cannabis anymore and hang out with hippies, and I was getting triggered by everyone because everyone had this processing the same stuff as me there. And I ended up leaving and going on an adventure. I first came here to Ollantaytambo, where I'm now kind of back in. Couldn't settle here, so I thought, oh, it'd be Glastonbury. I went to Machu Picchu, discovered the train to Machu Picchu is just down here, and like, yeah, Machu Picchu will be the place to go. I was getting cold there, totally. And like the anxiety increased there because the energies are insane in Machu Picchu, as you can probably imagine. And yeah, and then like everything just got crazy. Like I didn't know what to do, I didn't know where to go. I ended up going to the edge of the jungle and spending some time living by a hot springs, but it was like crazy there. The energy was just too crazy. I was living with this family, but like there was screaming kids and stuff. And oh my god, everything was just getting crazier and crazier. And so this is the beginning of my ordeal. And then I ended up going back to Cusco, which is not too far from here, the major city, and contracting COVID in Cusco. And then really had COVID and for a long time. And I didn't have the main bit for that long, but kind of the symptoms kept coming back, and I like had it really bad. I had trouble breathing, which is terrifying. And I probably would have gone to hospital if I was in the UK, but I didn't really fancy going here. There was a few days where I probably should have gone. It was like intense, like really intense year. Like, and this is number 6, the ordeal. Like so what I've described as my ordeal. Stage 6 is the ordeal, like where you go through, basically face all your deepest fears, your deepest demons, the hardest challenges of your life. And so don't really need to talk about this anymore, except for the past year I've been facing my deepest demons, my scariest fears, the biggest challenges of my life. And it's been extremely challenging. It's been an ordeal. There is no doubt the last year of my life has been an ordeal, which is number 6, the ordeal. But now I feel like I'm coming out of it. Even though, as you see, my breath still has a few more breaths to get back to perfect health. Perfect health. Thank you for my perfect health. Thank you for my perfect health. And this ordeal has faced me to just like learn to live everything I've been teaching through my channelings and my videos over the last few years. So it's been the greatest blessing in my life, this ordeal, because I've learned so much. It's unbelievable what I've learned. I've been forced to like realize that everything I've been teaching is true, because of course in the back of my mind I've been, you know, the channelings, is this real, is this real, is this real? And now I'm coming to section 7, like everything's manifesting, like loads of money, more money's manifesting. I'm naturally resonating to blissful places, and my life's becoming very, very amazing. So this is number 7. There's more phases to come.